Welcome to the IELI housing presentation. Today we will cover three subjects: off-campus housing options, living with hosts, and renter's insurance. During this presentation, you will learn about the following housing options: home rent, home share, and homestay. At this point, you should ask yourself some questions, such as, do I prefer to live alone? Do I want to live with American roommates or with international roommates? Would I like to live with an American family? It is important to know that the home share and homestay programs are the best for English immersion and language acquisition. You will learn the language faster when you are speaking it both in school and at home. Option number 1, home rent. The home rent option gives you a private room in a house. You will also be able to use the kitchen and common areas. Utilities such as electricity, water, and heat are included in the cost of the rent. The monthly fee, otherwise known as the rent, is $575 per month. This price does not include food. When you arrive, you will need to pay the first month's rent plus the deposit for a total of $1,150. Option number 2, home share. The home share program is generally short-term and only for 1 or 2 IELI sessions. You will have a private room in a house. You will also be able to use the kitchen and common areas. Students in the home share program buy their own food and cook for themselves during the week, or purchase a meal plan and eat on campus. Cooked dinners are provided by hosts on Saturday and Sunday. The monthly fee is $725. When you arrive, you will need to pay the first month's rent plus the deposit for a total of $1,450. Option number 3, homestay. In a homestay situation, you will be living with Americans. This could be one adult, an adult couple, or a family. This is the best option for language acquisition. You will have a private room in a house, as well as use of kitchen and common areas. Dinner is provided by your host every night, 7 days a week. If you cannot attend mealtime, dinner will be saved for you and you can reheat it when you get home. The monthly fee is $850. When you arrive, you will need to pay the first month's rent plus the deposit for a total of $1,700. Monthly costs of living in Humboldt County. Here is a table that shows some of the costs of living in Humboldt County for 1 month. You can see the average costs for food, child care, medical expenses, and housing for one adult or for families. This may seem expensive, but in comparison, it is much cheaper than living in a city like San Francisco or New York. Calvin Lee, the IELI Housing and Events Coordinator, can help you find an apartment to rent. Generally, students who rent apartments live with other IELI students. Here is some important vocabulary that you should remember before renting an apartment. Landlord. This is the person that rents the property to the person who needs the house or apartment. Landlords collect the monthly rent and are responsible for repairs to the property as stated in the lease. Tenant. A tenant is the person who is renting the apartment or home. His or her name will be on the lease. Lease. A lease is a contract between the tenant and the landlord that states the conditions of renting of the property. If the tenant breaks any of the rules in the lease, he or she could be evicted or charged a fine. Rent. Rent is the monthly fee for renting or leasing a studio or an apartment. It's usually between $300 and $800 per month. References. When applying for housing, you may need to provide contact information for people who you have known for a long time and can attest to your trustworthiness. Security deposit. This is a certain amount of money you must give to the landlord before you can move in. The money will be returned to you when you move out, provided there are not any damages. Utilities. These are services such as internet, electricity, cable, water, heating, and garbage. They may or may not be included in the rent. Water and garbage are the two most likely to be included. Off-campus renting. If you are interested in living off-campus with American university students, you can find a room to rent on a website called Craigslist. Click this link to learn more. If you would like advice on how to use this website, come talk to your housing advisor in the IELI. There are two types of rental agreements that you may be asked to sign. The first is a lease. A lease is a binding agreement between you and your landlord for a specific period of time, usually a year. You are responsible for paying rent for the entire length of the lease. Both sides cannot change contract terms, i.e., rent, until the lease expires. At the end of the lease term, you can either decline to renew it or agree to sign a new release or rental agreement. The second is a month-to-month rental agreement, which is automatically renewed each month unless you or your landlord decide to end the agreement. Your landlord may increase the rent, cancel the agreement on short notice, usually within 30 days, or change any other terms of the contract. It is your responsibility to understand the terms of your rental agreement. A contract with a landlord is a promise. For example, it's a promise that you will pay your rent on time, that you won't damage the property, and that you will give a 30-day notice before you move out. You cannot break your promise. If you break your promise, there are serious consequences, both for you and potentially for the IELI program. Consequences for you: losing your entire deposit, being fined or charged extra money for damages, risking the chance that you will receive a bad reference. Then you might not be trusted by another landlord, and you may have difficulty finding new housing in the area. Consequences for the IELI: your actions could reflect poorly on your roommates, peers, and maybe even on those from your own culture. Some landlords may not rent to other IELI students if they have had a negative experience with just one IELI student. IELI students may have more difficulty finding housing because of your actions. Moving in. When you move in, your apartment or room is clean. Keep your housing as clean as possible at all times so that it will be easier to clean when you move out. This is your new home. Take care of it. Moving out. You must give your landlord a 30-day notice before moving out for both month-to-month agreements and yearly leases. Your apartment must be in the same clean condition that it was in when you moved in. It also must be completely empty. Do not leave anything behind. The cleaner your unit is, the more money you will get back from your original deposit. If you are renting your housing, it is a good idea to be protected against theft. You can purchase renter's insurance. If someone breaks into your home and steals your belongings, your insurance company will give you an amount of money for the items that you lost, depending on the plan you choose. This coverage applies even when you are away from home. You can also choose a plan that will protect you from damage to your belongings. Two insurance companies are located within walking distance to HSU. What are your belongings worth? Can you afford to replace them if they are damaged or stolen? Take a look at this chart. If the answer is no, you should consider purchasing renter's insurance. In fact, it's a good idea to keep a list of all of your property, including a general description, manufacturer's name, color, serial number, and a photo of each item. If your property is stolen, this information can be paramount in the hands of the police, and the insurance company will want to know as well. Other safety measures that you can take. Get the locks changed when you take new residents. There could be multiple keys unaccounted for to locks from previous tenants. Lock doors and windows of residents when you leave the house. Communicate with your landlord and alert them to broken or faulty locks or other necessary repairs in a timely manner. Thank you for listening to this housing presentation video. If you have any questions, you can contact Nicola Maloney or Calvin Lee in the International English Language Institute.